The Mitanni Empire covered what is now known as Iraq, Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, and included Italy. They were the ancestors of these people. Mitanni were the ancestors of the Egyptians as well. These kings and even a Roman emperor sported Thiruman, the Vaishnavite marks on their body. The Sun King Akhenaten of Egypt, who ruled between 1352 to 1336 BC, was a son-in-law of Tushratta, the Mitanni king. The name Tushratta has been recorded in the Hittite cuneiform script. Some have suggested that the Sanskrit origin of Tushratta is Dasaratha, a few others that it is Tvesaratha, having splendid chariots, a name which is attested in the Rigveda. The first Mitanni king was Sutarna I, good son. He was followed by Baratarna I, or Paratarna great son, Parasuksatra ruler with axe. Saustatar, Sauksatra, son of Suksatra, the good ruler, Artadama, abiding in cosmic law. Tushratta, Dasaratha, and finally Matiwazza, Mativaja, whose wealth is thought, during whose lifetime the Mitanni state appears to have become a vassal to Assyria. Subhash Kak traces the arna syllable in the names of the kings to arna, meaning son. A number of Indo-European sounding words have been identified in the cuneiform documents of the Mitanni kingdom, 1500 to 1200 BC. In addition to nouns and adjectives with parallels in Sanskrit, this Hurrian-speaking kingdom had kings with Indo-Aryan names, and two documents even list the main gods of the Indian pantheon. The kingdom of the Mitanni Indo-Iranian dynasty that ruled in the land of the Hurrians was in the upper Euphrates-Tigris basin, land that is now part of northern Iraq, Syria and southeastern Turkey. At its greatest extent, for a brief period at the height of its dynastic power, Mitanni territory extended to the Mediterranean coast and into northern Assyria, Mesopotamia, its southeastern neighbor. Mitanni's northwestern border with the Hashan kingdom of the Hittites was fluid and constantly subject to aggression, except when the two rivals concluded a peace treaty, one that invoked the Indo-Iranian pantheon of Mitra, Varuna, Indra and the Nasatyrs, but also one that marked the decline of the Mitanni kingdom and a decrease in size. The Mitanni and Hittites were closely related. The Hittites used the Hurrian language extensively in their inscriptions. They also shared in the development of the light chariot whose wheels used spokes. The Hurrian lands are today a part of Greater Kurdistan. Despite Tushratta's problems, he was not beyond offering his daughter Tujukipa in marriage to the king Amenhotep III of Egypt for a large quantity of gold. The tablet seen to the right is a letter from Tushratta to Amenhotep in which he asks for gold in very great quantity as a bride price, supporting his request with the comment, "Gold is as dust in the land of my brother." The beleaguered Tushratta was then murdered by his son in a palace coup. Tushratta's other son, Prince Matiwazza, fled Mitanni and was eventually given sanctuary by the Hittite king Suppiluliuma, with whom he concluded a treaty circa 1380 BCE, which we know as the Suppiluliuma-Matiwazza Treaty, discovered in 1907 CE in Hattusa, near present-day Bogazkal, formerly Bogazkoy, in north-central Turkey. In the treaty, the Hittite king Suppiluliuma agreed to assist Matiwazza gain the Mitanni throne and invaded Mitanni. The Hittites captured the Mitanni capital Wasukani after a second attempt and installed Matiwazza as a vassal king. The Suppiluliuma-Matiwazza Treaty is a source of considerable information about the Mitanni. In addition, it gives us some astonishing information about the religious practices of the Mitanni, for it invokes the Indo-Iranian pantheon of Asuras and Devas: Mitra, Uruvanasil, Varuna, Indara, Indra, and the Nasashana, Nasatyrs, Ashwins. Following the capture of Wasukani, the Hittites installed new rulers in Mitanni towns while the Assyrians regained control of the territory they had lost to the Mitanni. Tushratta was killed and his son Matiwazza became a vassal of the Hittite Suppiluliuma, circa 1344 to 1322 BCE. At the same time, the rebellious Artadama became a puppet king of a reborn Assyria, led by King Ashurbanipal I, 1364 to 1328 BCE. Wasukani was sacked again by the Assyrian king Adad-nirari I around 1290 BCE, after which very little is known of its history. In our page on the Hittites, we note, in the Bogazkal archives, native Hurrian is used frequently for a wide range of non-official texts such as those on rituals and even the Epic of Gilgamesh, more so than native Hashan. Native Hurrian texts have been found throughout the region. One such text dated to 1750 BCE was found at Tel Hariri, ancient Mari, a Middle Euphrates site, and another at Ras Shamra, Ugarit, on the Syrian coast, indicating Hurrian i.e. Mitanni influence in the region preceded the rise of Hittite power. A similar language to Hurrian is the language of Urartu, located to the west of the Hittite lands at the headwaters of the Euphrates and around Lake Van. According to the literature, cf. The Hittites by O. R. Gurney, Penguin Books 1981. The Hurrians were migrants to the upper Euphrates and Habur basin from the Elburz Mountains east across the Taurus Mountains from about 2300 BCE onwards. The Mitanni name for chariot warriors was Mariana or Marijanina, a form of the Indo-Iranian term Maria meaning young man, used in the Rigveda when referring to the celestial warriors assembled around the Vedic deity Indra. The Mitanni were famed charioteers. They are reported to have spearheaded the development of the light war chariot with wheels that used spokes rather than solid wood wheels like those used by the Sumerians. The Hittite archives of Hattusa, near present-day Bogazkal, contain what is the oldest surviving horse training manual in the world. The elaborate work was written circa 1345 BC on 4 tablets and contains 1080 lines by a Mitanni horse trainer named Kikulai. It begins with the words, "Thus speaks Kikulai, master horse trainer of the land of Mitanni," and uses various Indo-Iranian words for horse colors, numbers and names. Examples are, a Sasaniya form of the Sanskrit as Vasani meaning horse trainer, Ekawartana meaning one turn, cf. Vedic Sanskrit Ekvartanam, Terawartana meaning 3 turns, cf. Vedic Sanskrit Trivartanam, Panzawartana meaning 5 turns, cf. Vedic Sanskrit Pankavartanam, Satawartana meaning 7 turns, cf. Vedic Sanskrit Saptavartanam, and Navartana meaning 9 turns, cf. Vedic Sanskrit Navavartanam. Regrettably, writers do not mention the old Iranian equivalents. A Hurrian text from Yorgantepe also uses Indo-Iranian words to describe the color of horses, words such as babru for brown, parita for gray, and pinkara for a reddish hue. The Kikulai manual for training chariot horses highlights the links between the Mitanni and Hittites. Even though there were rivals at times, the two groups also collaborated frequently. The fact that the Hittites employed a Mitanni as a master trainer of horses may indicate that it was the Mitanni who were the regional experts in horse training, especially for military purposes, in a manner similar to the Sogdians in the east, and that the Mitanni in turn had brought the expertise with them in their migration westward. The methods used in the Kikulai method enabled horses to be trained without injury. The text detailed a 214-day training regime using interval training and sports medicine techniques such as the principle of progression, peak loading systems, electrolyte replacement, fartlek training, intervals and repetitions, and was directed at horses with a high proportion of slow-twitch muscle fibers. The Kikulai horses were stabled, rugged, washed down with warm water and fed oats, barley and hay at least 3 times per day. Kikulai's intervalled training technique stressed the leading of horses at a trot, canter and gallop, before subjecting them to the weight-bearing stress of a rider, driver or chariot. Workouts sometimes numbered 3 a day with scheduled rest days. Kikulai's intervalled training contained 3 stages, the first 2 for developing strong legs and a strong cardiovascular system, and the third for increasing neuromuscular conditioning. His workouts included brief recoveries to lower the heart rate. Swimming was also included in intervals of 3 to 5 sessions, with rest periods after each session. The horses were also subject to warming down periods, and the methods example of cantering included intermediate pauses to lower the heart rate partially, and as the training advanced the workouts included intervals at the canter. More at www.reminisblog.in.